অন্টারিও প্রভিন্সিয়াল নির্বাচনে বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত ৩ জন প্রার্থী এবার প্রধান ৩টি রাজনৈতিক দলের মনোনয়ন পেয়েছেন। ইতিমধ্যে আপনারা জানেন যে স্কারবোরো সাউথ ওয়েস্ট থেকে গত নির্বাচনেই এনডিপির মনোনয়ন নিয়ে ডলি বেগম নির্বাচিত হয়েছিলেন এবং সেটি ছিল আসলে বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত প্রার্থীদের জন্য বা বাংলাদেশিদের জন্য কানাডায় একটি ইতিহাস, একটা রেকর্ড। কারণ প্রথম কেউ পাবলিক অফিসে নির্বাচিত জনপ্রতিনিধি হিসাবে দায়িত্ব নিলেন। এবছর উই আর হ্যাপি যে আমাদের ৩ জন প্রার্থী এবার নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। ডলি বেগম আছেন। তার বাইরে কানিজ মৌলি লিবারেল পার্টি থেকে তিনি মনোনয়ন পেয়েছেন এবং তিনি নির্বাচন করছেন ওকভিল নর্থ বার্লিংটন। ওকভিল নর্থ বার্লিংটন নির্বাচনী এলাকা থেকে তিনি নির্বাচন করছেন লিবারেল পার্টির প্রার্থী হিসাবে। লেকশোর ইটোবেকু সেখান থেকে আরো একজন মনোনয়ন পেয়েছেন এনডিপি থেকে, তিনি হচ্ছেন ফারহিন আলিম। ফারহিন আলিমের সঙ্গে আমরা এর আগে কথা বলেছি। আমরা আজকের পর্বে কথা বলছি কানিজ মৌলির সঙ্গে। কানিজ মৌলি, আপনাকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি আমাদের সঙ্গে আজকের এই আলোচনায় এবং অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ আপনার ক্যাম্পেইনের ব্যস্ততার মধ্যেও আপনি আমাদেরকে সময় দিতে সম্মত হয়েছেন সেজন্য।
No, thank you so much আমাকে invite করার জন্য. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to sharing my insights with everyone.
দর্শক বলে রাখি যে কানিজ মৌলি কানাডাতে বড় হয়েছেন, এখানে পড়াশোনা করেছেন। তিনি যদি সম্ভব হয় তিনি নিশ্চয়ই কিছু কথা বাংলায় বলবেন, আদারওয়াইজ তিনি তার মতো করে ইংরেজিতে কথা বলবেন। তাতে আমাদের কোনো সমস্যা নেই, আমাদের কোনো আমরা সেটি বুঝে নেব। বাট if she can speak some few thoughts, if she can share in Bengali, that will be great. First of all, we would like to know about yourself. Tell us who you are, what you tell to your voter about yourself.
Yeah, so thank you. So আমার নাম কিনিজ মৌলি। আমি নির্বাচনে দাঁড়াচ্ছি from the Ontario Liberal Party in Oakville, North Burlington. So one of the biggest thing I always tell everyone is I'm a new mother. So I actually got into this race when I was actually during the 3rd trimester of my pregnancy. And one of the reasons I decided to do that, so I grew up in a working class family. My parents were immigrants. They came and struggled. But one of the silver lining in all of those was it helped me with, whether it's education or whatnot. Liberal policies were always there for me to be where I am today. I was able to get an education. I was able to go to Bay Street to worked in politics, get my MBA. And it was all throughout liberal education. Liberal government was in power. And their policies really helped me to be where I am today. And when I saw in 2020, when the Duckford government came in, and what was happening, especially with education and other files, that's when I decided to put my name because I wanted the same future that I
working family. We know that all of we are actually from immigrant family, and the struggle of the immigrants who came to this country for better life. Do you think the society, the politics of this country has a welcoming attitude for immigrants?
I would say the politics of this country, I think it has evolved over time. When I was growing up, there were hardly any people politics যারা ছিল কেউ আমার মতো লোক করতো. But when I was growing up, I grew up in Brampton, and one thing I did see over time, I saw আমার মতো যারা দেখতে, many of them were kind of getting involved in politics. So I think over time, it has changed. There is more representation, whether it's in all political parties too. I think we're seeing a lot of that happening, but I think it has been a long process. I remember আমি প্রথমে politics involved হয়েছি about a decade ago, so almost 12 বছর আগে। ওই সময় oftentimes, I was the only person who was of color in many settings. আমি প্রথমে involved হয়েছি থানার বেতে, so of course I was oftentimes the only woman of color. People didn't really look like me around me. But I think এখন যদি আমি দেখি সবগুলা main political party, I think অনেক change হচ্ছে. There's a lot of people that are coming in, but there is still lots of work that needs to be done as well.
এবং আপনি যখন বলেন যে আপনি ডেকেড এগো আপনি পলিটিক্স স্টার্ট করেছেন, would you mind to share us your জার্নি ইন দ্য পলিটিক্স, ইন কানাডিয়ান পলিটিক্স। আপনি আসলে রাজনীতি কখন শুরু করলেন, কেন শুরু করলেন, কিভাবে শুরু করলেন, এবং তারপরে আজকের পর্যায় পর্যন্ত যে আসলেন, যে জার্নি, সে জার্নিটা আমরা একটু শুনতে চাইবো।
জি, সো আমি রাজনীতি ১ম শুরু করেছি আমি যখন ইউনিভার্সিটি ছিলাম। সো আমি লেকের ইউনিভার্সিটি গিয়েছি ইন থান্ডার বেতে। আমি সবসময় আমি গ্রোইং আপ আমি ব্র্যাম্পটনে গ্রো আপ হয়েছি। সো ওখানে it was at that time when there were people who looked like me that was kind of getting involved, and many of them were from the Liberal Party. So আমার অলরেডি হালকা ইন্টারেস্ট ছিল। বাট আমি যখন থান্ডার বেতে মুভ করেছি ওখানে আমার অপরচুনিটি আমি I ran quite a few clubs there, and at that time আমার একটা অপরচুনিটি হলো যে to run the Liberal Club in Thunder Bay, Young Liberal Club. So আমি ওখানকার ক্যাম্পাসের মধ্যে I was the president. I started out the club. I signed up a lot of people. And ওখান থেকে actually আমার ওই কাজের থ্রু দিয়ে I got an internship at Ontario Legislature at Queen's Park. So আমি প্রত্যেক summer I will go back at Queen's Park to do my internship. And I was really lucky. আমার যে বস ছিল ওখানে Rick Bartolucci, he was a minister from Sudbury. Throughout my life, even now, he is a political mentor and who's been there for me. So আমার pretty much involvement ওখান থেকে শুরু হয়েছে। তারপরে I pretty much kind of continued. I worked as a staff at Queen's Park. এরপরে আমি ডিসাইড করেছি যে আমি অনেকদিন politics এ কাজ করেছি। So আমি একটু bureaucracy-তে গিয়ে কাজ করব। So I moved into Ontario government, working within the public sector side of things, not the political side of things.
সো আপনি ইউনিভার্সিটিতে রাজনীতি করলেন, তার আগে রাজনীতি করলেন। সো ইউ ওয়ার্ক এজ এ পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাক্টিভিস্ট অর এজ এ পলিটিক্যাল লিডার দেয়ার, অ্যান্ড দেন ইউ কেম টু দ্য কুইন্স পার্ক, অ্যান্ড দেন ইউ ওয়ার্ক দেয়ার ইন দ্য bureaucratic arena. So you gain experience both in politics and in bureaucracy.
Yeah, I did. Yes. So I've seen things from both sides. So you see politics, of course, you come up with the ideas and the policies, and then bureaucracy that you actually take those ideas and policies and implement them. So it was really nice to see, from both angles.
So from both angle, actually, it prepared you as a perfect candidate for MPP in the provincial parliament.
I would say so. I think whenever I go talk to my constituents, I always say that I have seen things in different perspectives. Of course, both from a government perspective, I've seen how you actually bring in legislation and how actually you implement it. Also, after all that, I decided to do my MBA and work in private sector. So I worked as a management consultant at Deloitte, and the last 4 years I worked in Bay Street for a bank. And what I say that I've really worked in আমি public sector এ কাজ করেছি, government-এর সাথে, and also politics এ, but I've also seen things from a private sector perspective. So আমার really plan হচ্ছে যে I can bring all those different perspectives back to decision making.
সো প্রাইভেট সেক্টর, গভর্নমেন্ট সেক্টর, বোথ সেক্টরের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স নিয়ে আপনি এখন জনপ্রতিনিধি হওয়ার চেষ্টা করছেন। দ্যাট ইজ খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ আমি মনে করি যে আমাদের জন্য, এবং যারা আপনাকে ভোট দেওয়ার চিন্তা করবে তাদের জন্য দিস ইজ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট ইনফরমেশন। কানিজ, আমরা যদি একটু পেছনে একটু যদি তাকাই, যে আপনি বাংলাদেশ থেকে, আপনি কি এখানে জন্ম, বা বাংলাদেশ থেকে আপনি এখানে আসলেন, এই অংশটুকু একটু শুনতে চাই। এবং বাংলাদেশ, আহ if you have any memory about Bangladesh, or if you have any like the good anything to say about Bangladesh.
Yeah, so আমি actually born হয়েছি বাংলাদেশে. I was born there. আমি ওখানে স্কুলেও গেছি। এরপরে আমার আব্বু আম্মু of course immigration নিয়ে এখানে আসছে. I have lots of great memories of friends, families. Those were like some of the golden times I kind of look back into. আমার অনেক memory আছে, family, especially family. I've have so much more family and broader family there as well. And I was really upset when we actually moved at first because I was going to lose all my friends. So it was a bit of a transition, even for me when we moved here.
Okay. So how do you evaluate the Bangladeshi community in Ontario?
The Bangladeshi community in Ontario, I think it brings in a lot to the whole Ontario as well. I think it's a vibrant community. We have people that are bringing in lots of experience and expertise and contributing to Ontario's economy in various different ways. And I'm really proud to be a Bangladeshi Canadian.
এখন আমি যদি জানতে চাই যে আপনি যদিও আপনি কিছুটা আলোচনা করেছেন, কিন্তু স্পেসিফিক্যালি যদি জানতে চাই যে why did you join Liberal Party, not other party?
Yes, আমি যে বলছিলাম যে আগে, one of the reason again, especially for the provincial perspective, I think provincially, one of the reason why I was really attracted to provincial politics is how much it impacts our life. So whether it's education, healthcare, those are all some really big files that impact us on a day-to-day basis. And I'm personally, for me, of course, education is one of the big things. And as I was telling my story, I took loans to go to university. I paid them off after on my own, but because of liberal policies, I was able to do that. Right? Many on a country there, you can't really, if you don't have the money, you can't really go and achieve what you want to achieve. Right? I was able to do that by getting my undergraduate degree. I did my MBA at Queens. So I was able, it didn't matter where I came from, right? I was able to achieve, I was able to work in Queens Park, go to Bay Street, run for office. And I think all of those were because of liberal policies and liberal education policies. And I've seen that personally when the Dalton McGuinty was premier, how much Ontario really became a leader in education, and I think OECD ranked Ontario as one of the number one place, especially from a K to 12 perspective. And that was one of the reasons why I got involved in Liberal Party politics, but also because of inclusivity, right? I think it was always a thing that Liberal Party involved people from other communities, and I always felt at home.
Okay. And what is the main problem in your eyes the most immigrant families face in Canada?
I would say, I think, like it's something that my parents also kind of went through as well is, you're coming with a lot of education, oftentimes, right? Many immigrant families, I think, getting the accreditation, and I think that's changing a little bit. I think back in the day was a lot harder. So I think one of the biggest thing is, again, like, landing on your own feet, making sure that, the education that you have is accredited here and you can get into the same profession here. I think that's something from my conversation with many immigrant families is one of the biggest challenges. But also, when you are coming from another country, again, like, it takes time to, understand the culture and the society and the transition, right? So I think there should be, from a government perspective, there should be a lot more help and support in place to achieve that as well.
So, if you are elected, what do you want to do for the immigrant people of Ontario?
For me, I am bringing in my perspective. I also so I was lucky enough to be a part of Ontario Liberal Party's Economy and Labor Platform Committee. So there was only 8 of us that kind of worked on Amadirje platform Tori Habe from economy and labor perspective. So I definitely want to, and anyone you talk to, they talked about why we need more immigrants in this country because there's a job shortage no matter where you go, which sector you go into, there's a shortage of that. So for me, it's really advocating for that. But I think many of immigration is just not social policy; it's economic policy as well. So I would be advocating for that. But also, at the end of the day, I'm running to be MPP, and I always say that at the doors is I will at first and foremost, I want to be a local champion. So what I'm hearing from the local grounds in Oakville, North Burlington, I will make sure that I bring that back to Queens Park.
And when you tell that like you want to be a local champion, uh, what is the major thing you think like the problem in your riding, and what is the major initiative you want to take for them?
So in my riding, again, a lot of people, my riding is like a perfect demographics. People look like me. There's a lot of young families out there. So I think one of the bigger issue in my riding is again education because many people have kids in schools. And with COVID and everything else, there has been a lot of challenges, especially from an education perspective. And I've been very lucky to have a lot of teachers who are part of my campaign team as well. So for me, bringing those back, as well as my riding is a place where environment is one of the bigger issues as well. So I have personally done some things to make sure we take, climate change is real and do something from a climate change perspective as well. So in my writing, I think education and climate change are one of the two big issues uh, that's out there. And my commitment, and again, in alignment with liberal policies, is making sure that I'm bringing some of those back, and I'm actually championing that at Queens Park for them.
বাট লাইক আমরা এখন কিন্তু দেখি যে বিভিন্ন শহরে বিশেষ করে ব্রামটন এলাকায় যেখানে আপনি বড় হয়েছেন, আপনি বললেন ব্রামটনে, আমাদের স্কারবোরোতে নানা জায়গায় ল অ্যান্ড অর্ডার একটি বড় ইস্যু হয়ে দাঁড়িয়েছে। আমরা প্রতিদিনই টেলিভিশনে বা এখানকার মিডিয়াতে আমরা দেখি যে শুটিং হচ্ছে, স্ট্যাবিং হচ্ছে, এই বিষয়গুলো হচ্ছে। এই ডিস্টার্বিং এলিমেন্টস গুলোর ব্যাপারে আপনার লিবারেল পার্টির পজিশন যদি জানতে চাই বা আপনার পজিশন যদি জানতে চাই, হাউ উড ইউ এক্সপ্লেইন?
So আমাদের পার্টির এখনো প্ল্যাটফর্ম, to be honest, সবকিছু we have done sneak peeks at some issues. We haven't released a full platform on law and order yet, but we have talked about, oftentimes, from a law and order perspective, sometimes it's people from minority communities. So we also want to make sure that judges and law enforcement have that bias training, and they understand, they have that sensitivity training, they understand how to deal with different communities. Police and law enforcement also have that understanding, but I would say stay tuned. Our party, we're actually, sorry, I think one thing I just remembered, so we did talk about banning handguns. So that's something we have come up with, because sometimes that's also how some of the law and order issues happens is we have a handgun. So as a party, we've talked about we'll ban handguns, as well as oftentimes that happens from minority communities. So we do want to make sure that our judges and police forces have those kind of trainings to deal with people from other minority races as well.
And why do you think like people should support Liberal Party in this election?
I would say why people should support the Ontario Liberal Party this election is because, again, we had, I think, 15 years of Liberal government. And if you compare that to what's there right now, I would pick that over any day. And one of the main reasons being, again, from a provincial perspective, it's really important. Education, healthcare are some of the biggest focal point. And I think for me, why I decided to run for the party is we are the only one that can beat the Conservatives. Liberals only beat Conservatives. NDP will never beat the Conservatives. So I think it's really important that if we want a progressive government, if we want a government that's going to listen to the minority communities, we do elect a Liberal government, because we are going to put money back into the education system. That's really badly needed. We're also going to put back a lot more into the healthcare system, the long-term care file, which has been a disaster under the Ford government. So we will be looking into that as well. So I think for me, if we want a progressive Ontario where we want people to live with economic dignity and dignity in general, I think the Liberal Party is the best choice.
আমি যদি আপনার নির্বাচনী এলাকার কেউ হই, if I'm your voter, why should I vote for you?
So for me, it's fairly simple. So I live in the community. This is where I'm raising my son. He's 18 months old. His name is Zane. He was born at the local hospital in Oakville Trafalgar Hospital. My husband, he's actually born and raised in Burlington. So I have lots of family there. I understand the community. As I say, pretty much a lot of the people are like young families like me. So I understand what they're going through. I'm a commuter. I usually commute to Toronto, and many people are a commuter in my community as well. So my thing to them is, I'm going to be a local champion. I'm someone who lives in the riding. I am someone who's living through some of the same things that they're living through. And my promise to them is I will always be accessible to them and bring back what I'm hearing from them at Queen's Park.
যদি আমরা বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির যারা নতুন নিউ জেনারেশনের যারা আছে, নতুন প্রজন্মের কথা যদি বলি, আপনি নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। আমরা আশা করছি যে আপনি বিজয়ী হয়ে আসবেন, বাট ইউ আর ইন দ্য পলিটিক্স। এবার ৩ জন প্রার্থী আছেন। বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির নতুন প্রজন্মের যারা রাজনীতিতে আসতে চায়, তাদের উদ্দেশ্যে বা in general to the community, what do you have to say?
I would say to always get involved, give it a try. Because I was one of those young person. I did not know. I was, not that confident. I just one day, আমি একটা event, I think it was Justin Trudeau was doing an event, and he was not even MP or Prime Minister back then. He was doing an event in U of T. I just decided, I just signed up, and I was so afraid. I did not know anyone. I just went there, and that was my literally first start in politics. I said, don't be afraid. Give it a try. I think oftentimes, I think being from minority community, we're so focused on getting the education, moving up in our career. But I think if we want to make a difference, for me, once I started working at Queens Park, I really realized how much you can make a difference in a province and in a country through legislations and through law. So I would say, get involved, give it a try. If you need any mentorship and get a good mentor, I'm more than happy to be a mentor for anyone who is thinking about it. But I think you can make a lot of difference through getting involved in politics. I've personally seen that with my own eyes, and that's one of the reasons why I got involved. So I think it's really important, not only for our community but for the broader province and the country as well.
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। অ্যান্ড আমরা শেষ করব। আর লাস্ট প্রশ্ন আপনার জন্য, আপনি আপনার নির্বাচনী এলাকার যে ভোটার যারা আছেন আর কি, ওভারঅল ইন জেনারেল, হোয়াট ইউ ওয়ান্ট টু টেল দেম?
So what I want to tell them, again, I think what I said earlier, I hope I can count on their support. I'm someone who lives in the community, and I say that because I've had opponents who doesn't live in the community. So I think it's really important in my riding that we have local representation, someone who lives here. I lived through some of the issues that everyone in the riding is going through. I have the eyes and ears of the riding. I have lots of local people. My team is run by all full local volunteers who really want to make a difference, and we're all in it for the right reason. We want to make sure that the representation that my riding is missing, I will be able to provide that at Queens Park.
থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ কানিজ। দর্শক, আমরা এতক্ষণ কথা বললাম ওকভিল নর্থ বার্লিংটন নির্বাচনী এলাকা থেকে লিবারেল পার্টির মনোনয়নে এবার যে নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত কানিজ মৌলি। তিনি আসলে ক্যানাডিয়ান, কিন্তু আমরা উই ফিল প্রাউড, কারণ বাংলাদেশি কমিউনিটির, বাংলাদেশি বংশোদ্ভূত নতুন প্রজন্মের একজন প্রতিনিধি নির্বাচনে প্রতিদ্বন্দ্বিতা করছেন। আমরা আশা করব যে আমরা আবার নির্বাচনের পর বিজয়ী এমপিপি হিসাবে কানিজ মৌলির সঙ্গে আবার এভাবে কথা বলবো। আপনারা যারা তার নির্বাচনী এলাকায় আছেন, কিংবা আমরা যে যেখানে আছি সেখান থেকে আমরা যেভাবেই তাকে সহযোগিতা করার নানা রকম সুযোগ সুবিধা আছে, আমরা নিশ্চয়ই আমাদের মেয়ে কানিজ মৌলির জন্য আমরা সহযোগিতার হাত বাড়িয়ে দেব। কানিজ, থ্যাংক ইউ সো মাচ। আমরা জানি যে এখন খুব টাফ সময় যাচ্ছে, ক্যাম্পেইনের ব্যস্ততা, সেই ব্যস্ততার মধ্য থেকে আপনি এটুকু সময় বের করতে পেরেছেন, সেজন্য আপনাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি।
No, ধন্যবাদ, and thank you so much for having me. I know I've had a chance to talk to you over the last I think almost last 6 to 8 months. So really appreciate all the support you have given me and the broader community as well. And inshallah, hopefully, if I get elected, hopefully I'll be able to chat after.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.